All right, cool. So let's get started. Usually start with a little bit of fundamentals. So let's go ahead and do that, which is taking a look at the news calendar for this week, seeing what events are going to be high impact. So on Monday, tomorrow we got 7 a.m. Today's supposed to be a big holiday, but I don't even see it here. Let me do this real quick. Mm, Yeah, I don't even see it listed as a bank holiday, and the markets are open. There was some pretty interesting price action to open up, especially on indices. So I'm gonna get into that. But it looks like we're good to go for tomorrow, 7 a.m. Job openings on Tuesday, unemployment in Powell on Wednesday, unemployment claims Thursday, unemployment rate on Friday. Okay, so it looks like it's gonna be a pretty good week. There's gonna be a lot of excuses for the markets to definitely do what they have to do. I feel like last week was a little bit more consolidated than usual. There was some good plays. I personally took some good plays and sent them out in the chat right after they were confirmed. We talked about them on Sunday here. Most of the plays I'm taking, at least the ones that I'm having like the most confidence with, are the ones that I'm seeing here with you guys every single Sunday. Now I do take other plays during the week. A lot of the indice trading that I do is pretty much just like a day trade, right? On indices, I do treat them a little bit differently. So that analysis comes pretty much that morning, right? But we did catch a US 30 play that we looked at together here last week. And it's not one, I actually realized that later, but it's not one that I sent out as far as a markup. But if you were on the call, then we looked at it together. I broke down exactly like where I was looking to enter, why, and everything. So pretty dope play. It's pretty dope to see a lot of people in the chat also, and they DM me as well, and they've been taking my ideas, and it's been working out for people. So I feel like we've been having some pretty good confluence, right? So make sure you stay tapped in, ask me questions. Like there's some people that, and it's usually the same ones that be asking me questions about my markups or why I'm bullish, not bearish, whatever it is, and it's been helping them out. So feel free to ask me questions, whether it's on Instagram or in the community or whatever it is. But let's get into it, right into the technicals. So what we've been following on dollar, and I'll start on the daily, is a lot of price action here together over the past 3 years, right? I'm going to focus on just this most recent price action that we have here with dollar, which is pretty much like the beginning of the year, right? Going into like late December. But starting at that point, right before right around New Year's, a little bit before it, we were coming down to the low of this range, right? So then the market started to move pretty bullish after that. On the 4 hour, this was a very clear 4 hour uptrend that was very bullish, not giving us a lot of retracements until finally here in February, we broke past this high, right? Because before that, we were in a pretty bearish structure, right? Lower lows, lower highs. Not until we broke past this level again, right, which was the previous 4 hour high, was when I was very confident with the buy side, right? Even though on the 4 hour, that was a daily, obviously. Even on the 4 hour, there was a lot of good price action here, right? So if on the daily it's one move, on the 4 hour you're seeing a whole uptrend, right? So there was a lot of good plays, not a lot of high discounts, right? Like we weren't really getting those 786, 886, but we understood the characteristic of it. As far as when it is this bullish, then you're not looking for the deepest retracement. So we were able to kind of adjust a little bit for I think really the first time within this like last 2 or 3 months is the first time I've really had enough just knowledge of the market itself, not just the technicals, but saying, okay, cool, I've been trading this, I've been following this for the last 2 years. I'm starting to notice that when it does this, it starts to move in a different way. And being able to adjust and being able to explain what I'm thinking and sharing it with you guys, I hope it's teaching you guys a lot, right? And I try to do my best. I don't believe myself to be the best teacher, but I do care about like making sure I share everything that's helped me out, right? So if I could do a better job, let me know. If you guys have questions, the chats are open. You guys can come off mute, whatever. But notice that, right? We've been having a lot of real good understanding with dollars if you've been hopping on with me. So That's what this up push looked like, right? To take us above that previous 4-hour high, which was over here. So after we got that change of character, then it's like, okay, cool. We are bullish, right? Definitely like we're gonna expect higher movement. But what comes after a leg of structure, right? What comes after in an expansion is a retracement, right? So after we did see the market start to break to the downside now, right? Taking previous structures like there, continuing to break down, then it was confirmed that okay, we're in a 4-hour retracement now, right? So the 4 hours started to look like this: lower low, lower high, lower low. And we understand that a 4-hour downtrend is only a daily retracement, right? So we were able to capitalize on the way down, because what's important for me is to give you guys some sort of perspective that can help you guys out this week, right? So whenever we're taking plays that I think could happen this week, it's a lot of 4-hour and then it's a lot of 1 hour, right? So we're catching these moves that are the ones that are really printing the higher time frame intentions behind everything. We've been catching those and also understanding at the same time, like, where is it that we're looking for reversals, right? So down here, understanding that we're very bullish, and when the market does, move in this way, that we're not getting the 786, 886 retracements with the accumulation and the Wyckoff at the bottom and everything. It's usually going to give us anywhere from like a 50 to 618 retracement. So just understanding right around this week how the market was very intentional here, right, to come down and then quickly move back up. We started to maybe predict that that could be the retracement that we were going to get, right, from low to high. There's your 618 retracement. So then we started to maybe anticipate a little bit the buy side, right, and especially looking at these targets, which is what's still open, and I'll share that in a second. Let me let some people in. So pretty much studying the overall structure of the market to look for the better positions possible. Yes. So to me, the structure itself is like the most important thing. Um, doesn't matter what strategy you're trading, right? Whether it's level, smart money, a combination, or something else. The most important thing before even the strategy is the structure, right? So I personally use a lot of smart money concepts, and they come in handy as well, and they give you a better place to enter. That's where you start to build, your risk reward and stuff like that. But just for me to know what direction I'm trading with and which either buy side or sell side is going to have the higher possibility, then you want to understand the structure itself, right? Which is something that's very fundamental, but I think it's one of the main things that you guys could really focus on, that's going to help you be on the right side, right? Then it's refining the entry, the psychology side, trade management. But market structure is one of the most important things, right? So understanding that we had already gotten that daily discount, the 4-hour was showing us that it was very bullish. The next thing we wanted to wait for was this 4-hour high to be taken, which we did achieve here. I think, yeah, this was like coming into last week. We had just basically broken this new high, and that gives us more confirmation that we are bullish, right? So after we had made that high, let me go down to the 1 hour now. We had just recently made like this high here, for example. And we were saying, okay, cool. So if the market again is very bullish, then how deep can this market retrace, right? Best case scenario, we were waiting for obviously something in this area. But the main thing I've been kind of saying here is understanding, just knowing how bullish it is. We started to look at other possible areas, this being one of them. And that's all it gave us, right? So it came down to this area, rejected off it immediately. So as you can see, it's a pair of institutional candles. It's an imbalance, right? So we came into that area, which is a very shallow retracement, right? From low to high, the 50 is right there. So we didn't even get that 50% retracement. So that's not something I'm usually expecting, as far as like, I'm not taking trade setups, right? As far as anything above the 50 or anything like that. It's just understanding the dollar, and like using the fib tool as a measurement tool, right? So it's telling you how bullish it is, right? If it's not retracing 50%, it's very, very bullish. So anyway, we made a new high right after we retraced off that area. Why would you want to go bullish? Just continuing the side where the market has been, just given data that it wants to keep pushing to, right? Is just creating higher highs, higher lows. Let me see. Since it's not 50%, would you move the fib to a new high? So from here, basically on this time frame on the 1 hour, we're seeing a new market structure, right? Or a new range, which would be that high. And that's really all I'm focused on from now is this low to this high. Until we're able to break past that, then we can start to look at the next structure point, which would be all the way down here. But as of now, just understanding that, I mean, I'm gonna wait for the market to tell me otherwise, right? Whenever we do get a close below this level here, then we start looking for the sell side, right? That would be a 4 hour change of character back to the downside for us to then start to move down. Let's see. So you would move it and wait for the 50. Yeah, and this is dollar again. Like I'm not really looking for specific places to enter or like using it to really give me trade ideas in general. It's just understanding how much strength it has, right? So the way I'm using the fib is saying, okay, cool, after this high, 50% retracement, right? If it creates a new high, then it's like it's still very bullish, right? If we decide to break under this level, right, which is my next 4 hour higher low, right? The 4 hour looks like this. So if we were to break below this, then we start looking to the sell side. But because we just broke bullish, right? I'm still looking for continuations. So my opinion, if we do get any sort of retracement with dollar here to start the week, it could be anywhere in this area to then continue to buy. At least that's where I would like to see it, right? So this is one possibility. And then the other possibility is we break below this structure. Then we start looking for sells closer to down here. But I'm gonna send this out to you guys. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit and send out what I'm looking for. But yeah, I mean, as of now, it looks very bullish still. So I'm looking to still continue that, right? Let's see, what do we got? So gold is extremely bullish. I was waiting for some entries down here 2 weeks ago. Was waiting for an entry here last week, and we just are not getting it right. It's very one-sided. So one thing you guys have to understand in this type of market is that in a regular scenario, if dollar's going up, then gold is usually going to be bearish, right? Now in this situation, like we just saw, the dollar's been fairly bullish, right? And gold has still been on a run. Indices has still been on a run. So remember, it's election year, right? So I remember people telling me about that and kind of giving me that awareness a while ago. But it's not until this year that I'm really myself being able to see how manipulated the markets are, right? Because if you're a president that's in office right now, that's going up for re-election, what you would want on your resume would be to say, well, look how bullish US 30 is. Look at how good the indices are doing. The general public is going to think that that's a good sign of the economy, right? So that's one of the main things that politicians always use is the financial, the economy is like, look at how good the economy's been doing since I've been in office. So they're going to do whatever they can to be able to see these markets continue to run all the way into November, in my opinion, right? So I'm not looking for a lot of dollar correlation when it comes to the asset classes this year or until it starts to become a little bit more clear that they're back in correlation. But I am using them a lot for my currency still, right? So gold is just very bullish. If there's any place I would like to buy gold, it would be continuations in this area here. I mean, we'll see how soon we can come back, right? Because this is just continuing to extend. If that is the high, then we'd be looking at about a 786, 886 retracement here to continue buying. But obviously, this market can just continue to keep expanding. So we'll have to see if it expands too much to where this entry is like just too small compared to, how much the market has expanded, then at that point it's not even I'm not really considering it either if this just continues to expand too much, right? I'll be looking for more continuations along like these lines, right? If that makes sense. But as of now, this is what I'm liking here is this 15-minute imbalance down at like 2208. And I do have another area that is that candle there. So I'll make sure I send those out to you guys. Let's look at US 30 real quick. Let's look at what happened last week, right? So last week we were in this area here, and I personally was buying off of this accumulation that was going on here, right? So whenever the market came down very strongly into around that 618 level, started to move sideways, I was taking buys. Well, my first buy limit actually activated there, but then I did take another entry here, and no, this one actually stopped me out. Yeah, I had my stop loss like, I mean, we're on the 1 hour, but I was taking like 5-minute entries, right? And then this move did stop me out, and then I took another position there, and then the market opened with a gap like this just a couple hours ago. This broker specifically is not going to show it, but let me see if there's another market that shows the gap that we opened with, right? So my TP personally for those buys were here, right? So my TP hit as soon as, not as soon as, but like within those 15 minutes where market opened. Um, and again, this was shared on the call last Sunday. Like I broke down the whole idea as to why, but that was the high, right? It had already given us that retracement. Market was moving sideways. Like to me, Wyckoff and market structure is pretty much it, right? I use the concepts, the smart money concepts to get those better areas. But as you can see, I haven't even gotten in a lot into like imbalances or order blocks or nothing like that. But that area was a good area. Like I wish I would have bought a little bit more in there, but it did stop me out that one time. TP just hit. So the next thing I'm looking for is still buy side, right? Like I said earlier, these asset markets are going to be extremely bullish. Like this is not normal, right? I started to notice this going into the year, like just how much these markets are running. Like there's no way, right? Like look how much imbalance is being left behind. Yeah, there is like liquidity sweeps here and there, but it's just like if you're expecting, right? If your trading plan is like, okay, I got a low and I got a high, so I'm only taking buys right at a 786. And this was me, right? This was me. I'm saying that because we're taught to follow our trading plan and do things the same way every single time. But let's just say we're looking at that low to that high and expecting your entry zones right down at these levels. You're not gonna get them, right? So from there you have to adjust and see, okay, look, this market's way too bullish, right? Like it just doesn't make sense. So I'm either gonna keep waiting for my ideal entry, or I'm gonna, try to get in here somehow. For me this year, I mean, until I believe either one of the 4 quarters is gonna be bearish. Obviously, I don't think we'll have like 4 bullish quarters or nothing, but until this market starts showing me that it wants to like break 4 hour structure to the downside, then there's not really a lot of reason to be selling. Again, I do trade these like on a lot lower time frames, 15, 5-minute entries type stuff. So, I do catch these sells here and there, but my main thing is like, where can I get in position to buy where I can take some profit and also hold for these longer term buys, right? But anyway, the areas I'm looking at here for these continuations are just any sort of retracement, and there wasn't much, right? So, man, I wish I had 2 hours, bro, because like I could, just break down so much. But what's going on here? mm, Cool. So what's going on here is very easy to see, right? We're coming down from after an extension, right, down to a higher time frame discounted area, which is where you're going to start to look for the market to start moving sideways, right? So one thing I talked about last week, and I had an example. Let me see if I can find it. I gave this example on something that I was looking at on, and this is why back testing is important, right? This is something I was looking at on USD CHF, to where the market was coming down into a higher time frame um, structure, higher time frame discount level, and then it just started to move sideways like this. Obviously, this is lower low, lower high, right? Downtrend. This is consolidation. Once we start to break out of that range, then that's when you can start to expect your market structure, right? So I know that that might be very simple, but it just kind of gave me a whole different perspective now as far as understanding Wyckoff leads into market structure, right? Like your accumulation after it breaks out of that range for the first time, then that's when you're going to start to expect retracements for new higher highs, right? So take a look at what this looks like on USDCHF. Same thing here on US 30, right? Comes into a higher time frame, starts giving us that accumulation schematic, and then starts breaking out, right? So here's, you could say either here, right, or here, depending on where you think the breakout is, or even here. Like, let's just say you consider this the breakout of the range. There's your retest, right, of the accumulation range, and now we're in an uptrend, right? What I was expecting is definitely a deeper retracement before we got a new high, right? So something like this to then keep going, but we didn't get that deep retracement. Again, this is just out of the normal, right? So this is a play I was looking for, like for Thursday, Friday. Didn't end up getting it because there's a lot of liquidity here. I'm going to leave this open, right? And if I was you guys, I'd set alerts at these levels. But you know, we have to adjust. Depends on how bullish or how bearish we are in the morning. Then maybe all we get is something like that right there. Because again, this is now me day trading it, right? When I'm looking at dollar direction, when I'm looking at currency pairs, I'm more 4 hour, 1 hour with indices, and not just because they're indices, but just the way I kind of execute on indices is a lot shorter time frame. So I'm looking at smaller market structure as well, right? So hopefully something all the way down there. I mean, it depends how bullish this is. We can just come down to something like this and just continue the buy side, right? Depends how bullish or how bearish, but I'll send that out as well. NAS 100. Same thing, right? So here is the buy I was expecting. Didn't get it, right? We didn't get all the way down there. And then we just made a new high when market opened. So if anything, right, we might just come back there. There is some good liquidity like down here. So maybe we do get that lower entry. I would like to see it, to be honest. Right, so one option is we come down into this level. If this is a, let's just say a 15-minute range, then on the 5-minute, right, during the right time of the day, which would be 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. PST, right, then you start to look for that change of character to then continue these buys. Another option is because there's liquidity there, right, we might just come all the way down here. So there's two different buy scenarios for NAS. And then SPX, same thing. There's that buy that we didn't get. Here's what's left open. Right, we'll just have to see which one's going to give us the best entry out of the three. Now, going back to currencies, right? If I'm expecting dollar to continue to move, now you guys understand when I talk about dollars, like, for example, here, right? At this point, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm expecting, after we made this new high, I was like, okay, we're bullish now. So obviously I'm gonna be expecting buys, right? But it doesn't mean that this is just gonna go up. Like obviously after a new high, we're gonna expect a retracement. So what we're really looking for is that best place to look for that new high, right? So when I get down here on the 1 hour and say, okay, we just broke a new high, so we're definitely bullish. It doesn't mean I don't expect a retracement. Like I think that's a big point to make. I hope y'all don't think that's what I'm saying is that we're just going to continue to run. It's more, I'm expecting further buy side. So how deep can we go, right? And again, this is just one possibility, just understanding it and how bullish we've been. But if we do break below that level, right? If we do manage to break and close here, then the next thing I'd be looking for is pretty much buys down there, right? So understanding that if we go to USD CAD, here's my area where I would like to look for buys. See, now I'm getting into a market that I like to trade, right? This is not dollar direction This is now, okay, we're finding trade ideas. So my trading plan, right? 786, 886 area after changing character, right? Manipulation, all that. So I'm looking for CAD buys. Yo, why is this white? Looking for CAD buys down there. Some clear targets to the upside. Let me get some people in. Very clear targets to the upside, right? So here's our bullish range from low to high. And we'd be looking for something in this area to continue to buy, right? So pay attention to what that looks like compared to this guy. So after, let's see. Yeah, so pay attention to like these equal highs up here on CAD, and then how much it retraced after that, right? So here we're seeing a 618 retracement. With USD CHF, you see those equal highs. How much of a retracement are we getting here? Right? Not even like a 25% discount compared to a 618, right? So understand that dollar's bullish. We're looking for buys on either one of those two. If it's very bullish, then we'll probably get a CAD entry, right? If it's a little bit more bearish, then maybe we can wait on some lower entries on USD CHF. But I do like these buy continuations as well. So just based off like the market structure, right? And understanding that this one's a little bit more bullish than the other one, then here's one option in this area. And I'm drawing it out this way because you're waiting for those confirmations, right? If dollar just starts to move, extremely down, and you're just buying this, right? You got to wait for the market to really show you that change of character, at least on like a 15-minute, 5-minute. So if you do begin to see that, then this is where you can start to look for buys. There's liquidity, so there's also an area here, right? And then depend how much, like if dollar does want to go, maybe give us that daily retracement that we do need, right? Then maybe we're setting up for here later in the week or next week. GBP USD. This was a sell we called out last week that happened there. It did run in profit, 80 pips, which is a nice move. I was expecting a lower low, to be honest. On euro, we got it. Right, look how we broke below here on euro. But on GBP, we haven't gotten it yet. Right, so that play was at least 100 pips for the idea. If you took profit, you did manage to catch a nice size move. I mean, the risk to reward was there, and it could still possibly hold to the downside, right? Now, playing like the other thought, like let's just say dollar shows us it wants to go bearish this week, right? Maybe the best place to catch that side of the market would be off of this 1 hour candle there, right? So notice how, I mean, even on the 1 hour, right, there's that last down candle that took liquidity and then changed character back to the upside here, right? So technically, this is already starting to create a 15-minute bullish range, right? And there's an imbalance right there. So maybe if we come down here and dollar wants to give us a retracement to start the week, this could be where you position yourself to catch that retracement move on dollar. Now, again, that's not like the long-term idea for me or anything, but maybe a dollar retracement to start the week could give us these buys on something like this. I like that one better than euro. Euro did already pretty much mitigate that. So like, look at that candle, right? New high after that. And then look at how, I mean, it's all an algorithm. So you can see how that came and filled like a 5-minute imbalance that's sitting down here, which looks pretty crazy, right? That was just to rebalance that move right there. So maybe that's indication that this could start to head up. Now, I'm not going to necessarily play this one. I think I'd rather wait and get a good entry on something like GBP down here, a little lower. There is some sell ideas as well later here. So like, let's just say dollar retraces, and then we can start to look for those buys. Then there's a big area up here that's definitely very imbalanced, and you can see the manipulation and everything. So I wouldn't necessarily try to sell this area off anymore. Or if you're already in there, I would definitely break even or something. Like let me just show you what I mean. So if I got in right there, was about a 20 pip stop loss. I mean, you did already see at least a 3 to 1, right? That's not even with the best entry or anything. So the TP was there already, but I wouldn't necessarily be looking to add on to this right now for sales. And I might think about even reducing my risk, right? So like a smaller time frame high, or like maybe even going break even at this point, right? But I'm personally going to be looking for buys depending on how it looks in this area. So that's all right. So just to kind of recap here, if I'm looking for buy continuations on dollar, right, then I'm either going to be buying CAD here or looking at one of these areas for CHF. It's just going to depend how bullish or how bearish we are, which one of the two looks a little bit better, right? So it does take a little bit of like understanding the correlations when you look at the way I trade. Buys were also called on the Blaze app for which pair exactly, bro? For like CAD or CHF, or just for dollar in general? Mm, so that's the dollar buy side continuation thoughts. If we do, like, I'm not looking to like, let's just say dollar wants to retrace. I don't really see anything I want to sell on CAD or CHF, especially with those highs, the way they look right there. So I was like, okay, so if I'm playing the other side of the market, then what am I doing? I'm probably, looking at something like this to catch those dollar retracements and catch something there. Because okay, I'm expecting basically something like a move A, right? And then a move B. Now, whether move A is this deep or it's this deep, I don't know, right? So that's where it's kind of like based off how much information you're getting when these markets are actually at that area, then you can decide, okay, based off of the bearishness of move A, then I'm taking this. And I hope that's not confusing. It really shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be very hard to grasp, just very basic correlation. So it's like if I'm expecting that, I'm either looking for buys there. And in order for me to catch that move A, which is that retracement, if I think it's going to be a deep retracement, then maybe I want to get in position like that, right? I don't think I've ever really dove into correlation this much, but I think it's important to see it this week, as well as those GBP buys that are a lot higher in the range here. There's also some Euro plays here, and also up here, right? So just being ready on both sides of the market, right? Whether it's buy side or sell side, understanding what you want dollar to do, that's what's going to give you the best idea of which place to take, right? Because if you're just coming onto markets and finding random order blocks and not using market structure, you're not using correlation with other pairs, then yeah, some of those are going to hit, but the win percentage is going to be maybe a little low, right? um, Another idea for that move A, right, would be AUD USD. So let's just say either GBP or AUD gives us one of these entries here for us to catch that retracement leg on dollar. NZD is also looking a little bit more bullish, right? It looks like it's creating a little bit of a clear higher high, higher low scenario, at least on these time frames. So maybe that tells us that AUD could give us that one more sweep right there. That would be nice, bro. I'm probably gonna put a buy limit on. The way I'll do it is like I'll look at either AUD and I'll look at GBP, and I'll see which one of them is a little bit more bullish, right? And pick one and maybe set like a buy limit because this is definitely something that could hit during London, and I'm gonna be asleep by then. So I could do that and pick either one or the other, or I could, just split my risk and, not over leverage myself on one of them and just drop a nice size trade on both. Or, there's endless possibilities, but that looks like probably what I'm gonna be starting my week with. Now we'll see if it does activate, right? But I do like that. The last one here is Euro GBP. This is something that we got off the harmonic scanner. I was doing a training with John and Alex and some of the Tucson squad here earlier this week, and they pulled up the harmonic scanner, and it was giving us this area. And like me, just understanding smart money, looking at this candle, looking at that imbalance, I was like, wait, hold up, right? So I did get into this trade at a very nice place right here to where I'm probably in still a little bit of profit right now. But again, my stop loss is below here. I'm looking to maybe target those highs, right? So look how fast it came down. It did give us a little bit of an idea that it wants to push up. It's given those, retracements. So maybe we could see a little bit of a range inside this area. But as long as it doesn't take this stop loss, then I'm still holding that for those highs. Now, I don't know if it's something you necessarily want to get in yourself right now. I'm just saying it because I'm already in it, but this was a pretty nasty market open as well to kind of take out some early buyers. But as you can see, right, the market's starting to move sideways a little bit. Like it's not just lower low, lower high. There's new highs. It's unwilling to go beneath these older lows, right? So it's up to you if that's something you want to, maybe look into or wait for that confirmation that we're out of the range, and then you start to maybe play one of those continuations, right? Because the best place to get into a trade is obviously not during the accumulation itself, right? Like you'll be in there for days, or if you didn't put your stop loss in the right place, you might be stopped out right now. So this is not a fun place to trade. Obviously, this is where the better entries come in, but the higher probability ones are going to be the ones where after it breaks out the range and then it starts showing you some retracements, right? I always say it like everybody wants to catch this entry right here, obviously, but the higher probability entry is going to be this one, and even more so this one, right? Because the market already confirmed to you that we want to start moving in that direction. So I hope that makes sense. That's something I learned, not too long ago either, that really gave me a good perspective as far as not feeling like you're missing out, right? Like the market going bullish is actually a good thing, right? You just got to understand where you're at in the whole phase of things, because on this 1 hour, then I'm completely fine just holding through this, right? For that possibility. I mean, if we're talking about something like what's that? Yeah, maybe I did maybe like a 15 pip stop, but then the target is, almost a 6 to 1. So don't go down to the 5 and 15 and get lost on, what's going on at those time frames when it comes to the currency. Like just understand the market structure itself, right? So in my opinion, we're definitely bullish, right? And then there's some pretty clean like liquidity sweeps that were happening on the way up already. So I don't necessarily think we need to trade beneath any of that stuff, which is why, just I don't trade Euro GBP as far as like it's something that I analyze every week. But I mean, if somebody pulls up a harmonic scanner and I'm looking at this candle, it's like, I'm probably gonna participate. But that was all I have, fam. I'm going to clean these up a little bit and send out, my list of trade ideas. That way you guys can have those on your charts as well. But I do, I mean, I finished a little bit quicker than I usually do, and I feel like I went through so much, right? I feel like I gave so much perspective on dollar itself, how things correlate, understanding the strength of the dollar and how you play that either on USD CAD or USD CHF, understanding that move A versus move B theory that I was talking about. So I know it was a lot. So I definitely want to see if anybody has any questions on anything I went over today. I'm glad you got something from it, bro. And I think you asked a question, so shout out to you. You're very welcome. You guys are definitely welcome. It's a pleasure to do it. But since DXY is bullish, why wouldn't it be more sells on US 30? So my what I explained, bro, is that, and this is something I've been noticing personally for the first time this year, it's just more or less like, yeah, and technically you are looking for correlation. Like if dollar, right, if the if the currency is strong, then you don't, like, you want to hold cash, right? But if the dollar's like bearish, then I don't want to hold cash. I'm losing money in inflation. I'm going to hold US 30. So that's the whole theory of it, of them correlating. But like, look at this market and understand that even though dollar has been bullish, so has US 30, right? And that's just more like adjusting with the current climate and the current price action. And my whole theory behind it is the whole election theory, right? Is understanding that if I was Joe Biden and I had the power and I was seeking to keep that power, what I would do is say, hey, going into November, look at what's going on here, right? So the dollar's going to move no matter what, based off of like the interest rates and the FOMC releases. But we understand that these markets are something that could be a lot more manipulated, right? Also, I see that as recorded. I know you break it down really good. Any way to see the past recordings? Yeah, bro, it's on my, everything I record is on my YouTube. I don't record every single call, but when I do, I always put them on there. For anybody that's on here, because I do see a few new names, I just dropped my Instagram in the chat, and it's the same for YouTube. It's the same for Twitter and everything. So if you guys want to go on the YouTube and check out this recording or any of the other ones, they're on there. Definitely follow me on Instagram if you don't already. But yeah, fam. I mean, I'm gonna clean these up, send these out to you guys. Anybody have any other questions? Those are all good questions that were asked today. Because I feel like I did talk about a lot, and I don't know how good of a job I did explaining it until I go and watch that recording, right? Which is why it's important as well to,
Yo, question.
yo.
Yo, I noticed that, technically a pullback preferably would be at least below 50%. I
Mhm.
know that the one you had, I think, was on GU. That one wasn't necessarily like a deep retracement. If it doesn't go all the way back to that zone, is there another zone that you would use to like enter?
Was it GU? Does this look like it, or was
Yeah,
it a
because
buy?
that's unbalanced and it's like on the lower side.
This one down here?
Yeah, like
On the
say it
buy?
doesn't to
Mhm.
that. Do you wait for like another entry, or how do you go about finding, like, instead of FOMOing in?
So let me see. Like, let's just say I was looking at this right here. If I'm looking at this low to this high, where I would be looking at would be like my usual is 786, 886, right? But right now, just based off this 1 hour candle, then I'm looking more around this area. Fuck, sorry, excuse me, my bad. So right now, that's what, 20 pips. Yeah. So even though it's a little high in the range, right? It's a little bit closer to the 618 than the 786, but it's only 20 pips, and I can definitely get at least a 3 to 1 if we get a new high here. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. Is there a better way I can answer it? What did you mean more exactly?
No, yeah, like I get, like, sometimes it doesn't exactly go that deep in the retracement, and say it takes off like around the current range.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something you look for specifically for like a re-entry? Is it just the same setup, pull the retracement out again, and wait?
Yeah, good question, bro. So like for example, on something like these guys here, like USD CHF, if I'm looking at the true range, right, which is from this low to this high, then like there's an entry here that's not even a 50% retracement, right? Now, my entry more or less comes off the market structure itself. So to me, even though that this is like the full 4 hour range, right? It's also like, if I really focus on this pullback here, right, that's its own kind of market structure point, right? So if I'm looking at low, high, higher low, higher high on this 1 hour, then because this is a valid 1 hour pullback, then I can take my fib and use this and pretty much look for that type of entry, even though the full range is a little bit um
No, that
further.
gets you mean that. Yeah, that does answer it. Thank you.
You feel me? Yeah, I got you. So I think it's I don't know, it's worth like studying market structure itself and not getting too caught up on the different time frames. Because like here, for example, like if I drop my fib like this and I'm seeing that entry and I'm like, oh no, can't take it because it's not beneath the 50, right? That's what we're told. But if I understand that this is a valid market structure point right here on this 1 hour time frame, then I can play this according to that, right? So, something like this. And then if that doesn't hold, then I'm looking at, I might extend my fib back again to, okay, so now this wants to discount not only this 1 hour range, but it wants to give a full 4 hour retracement, right? So now you're looking at those 4 hour retracement entries and it's just adjusting now. I use my fib again, not necessarily like for where I'm looking at for my entries necessarily, is more like after I have the zones based off the market structure, then I'm kind of getting an idea of how much strength it has, or I don't know, bro. I feel like I'm still kind of understanding that dynamic as well, is because like I said before, how I started the call where I was like I would only look for trades at the 786, 886, so I would miss them. So it's understanding more so now, okay, if this market's very bullish and it hasn't been giving us, like for example here, if I was looking at this low to this high, right? It only gave me a 50% retracement as far as the range goes here. But if I break that down and I say, okay, cool, like the market structure here was low, high, higher, low, higher, high, right? Then just like I did up there, then I could have used this range, low to high, right? There's my institutional candle, right? And that would have been my entry, understanding that that's a 1 hour range. So, and this is something we actually caught with news. That was actually a pretty nasty one, but it looks like this market is very bullish. So in those scenarios, that I am looking at maybe entries a little bit higher in the range. So that's a good question. Again, I feel like I'm still kind of just understanding that relationship, and just being not afraid to not trade just strictly 786, 886, and using my understanding a little bit more. But it's in development. You know what I mean? That's a good question. Any question that makes me think, I feel like is a great question.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
I don't know
I
how
mean,
good.
last question, if this isn't out of the topic, how come you don't use Discord anymore?
Damn, that's a good question. Mm, I don't know, dog. I feel like I started focusing a lot more on like my Instagram page itself and kind of making a little bit more content, because I don't know how many people were on the Discord, but yeah, no, that was good for me personally, and then like just to kind of help me out as a trader, and I know that it served a lot of people, so I might have to. What I do drop a lot in is my personal Telegram, bro. So if you don't have that, I can.
Yeah, I'm in there too. I just saw the Discord. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool, like breaking it down. So
Yeah,
I just thought I'd ask you. Just was
that's a
curious.
good question. That's a good question, bro. I actually just started um doing this again. Like, right, is I mean, you've been with me for a minute, and you remember how much I used to show like the folders and folders that I had of the shit that I was back
Yeah,
testing. Remember that back in the day?
yeah.
So I wasn't doing that as much, but I definitely started to make an intention of it, and just taking more screenshots, because me, I always do my market outlook either way. So I have them. I just wasn't really like going through the steps of posting them and stuff, but just becoming more efficient and stuff. I feel like I've been focused more on the Telegram and the IG for sure. But the way that thing was structured, bro, like if I were to really like set the intention to improve it and make it better, clear examples, I have a better understanding now, and I have a lot more examples. I have videos now. You know what I mean? So it's up to me to just put in that work, but I think that's a good idea. Um,
Yeah, bro, you're killing it. Keep at it, man. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you, Doc. Thank you. I know you're always on here with me, so definitely appreciate you too. But that's it for me, fam. If you guys have any questions on the markups I drop here in a minute, or any questions about what we talked about, definitely let me know, because there's plays on both sides of the market, right? So just make sure you guys got your Telegram notifications on. I'm about to drop them here in just a little bit. Make sure you take them to your charts and mark them up, set the alerts. set the buy limits, wake up early, take these trades. Let's get it. I'll see you guys next week.